today. My dear friend, Robyn McGee, who is an LA-based writer, and she has published several books and teaches a course on the 1960s at Cal State Dominguez Hills and in the Department of Africana Studies at Cal State Fullerton. And Robyn and I worked together at Cal State Dominguez Hills when I was director of women's studies for a bit, and she directed the Women's Center. And it was our privilege to bring to campus Angela Davis and Octavia Butler. We went to the airport to pick up Octavia Butler, and that was a great honor. Unfortunately, Ms. Butler has also passed on. But what we leave behind us, of course, are our poems. So what I'd like, our second fabulous guest speaker, I'm so honored, we're so honored, is Lynne Thompson, who is the Poet Laureate of Los Angeles. And if you're Poet Laureate of Los Angeles, it's actually much more comprehensive, much more engaging, much more challenging than being the Poet Laureate of anybody else, of any place else, because Los Angeles is absolutely the nexus of the whole world. I don't need to elaborate, but I've taught visions of Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is where we all come to write and remake ourselves and dream. So I will read for a few moments, and then I'm going to invite Robyn to read. And then I'm going to invite Lynn to read. And then comes the part that's our special readers, which of course are our OLLI members. And I have a list of 14 OLLI members who will read a poem, and I will call those out in order. All right, so I'd like to begin, if I may. I'm going to start actually with just one of my very favorite quotes by T.S. Eliot, because it is April, and April is the season of rebirth, but also problematic. T.S. Eliot, April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land. So here's the joy and the obligatory sadness. This is a poem I wrote probably 30 years ago about spring. Springtime verse. Usually I forbid such poetic alliances. I know that most people are fucking sick of tree poems. I think that I shall never see was anthologized to death. And in retaliation, whenever I see a tree, I generally invoke pragmatic sanction. But I must necessarily forbear today when I see out my window the three liquid ambers that predispose my days. I want to celebrate just one, although the others are needed for context, that couple of this tree trinity that knows the world's winds and ways, that impels their dormancy just a little longer. Who knows why some are taciturn and others invite tree houses? I ask you, beg you really, to throw away the smugness with which you read Kilmer and see this tree. It's on the left with me. It is young maybe, or naive, or has forgotten the last big gale. It budded days ago, weeks before it had to, thrusting out arboreal nipples, precocious and green, the color of Easter egg dye. It is the bravest thing I know. A different tone for a spring poem. Spring cleaning. I've got the trash cans ready. The A list, keep for sure. The B list, negotiable. The C list, chuck it. When I'm on a cleaning spree, You're lucky you still have sentimental value. That's to my husband. All right. Chez Plato. I store Plato's ideal forms in the basement and every so often go down to refresh my memory. They're a little crumpled, need ironing. The famous bed is now a sleep number. The philosopher has embraced pop culture. All day long, I imitate the great verities, go down for a peek, fix if I need to today's objects and actions not quite right, though well-intended, far off base from all that ought. And those of us who engage with poems have very, very lively, sometimes almost too much emotions. Spirit brim. I am filled. The cup of me runneth over in bounties and plenitudes. I offer generosities, sponsor giveaways. I have more than needed. There have been times I have needed to take, plunder from those I loved and from those I didn't, and I have done so. If you need some of me, call or email. I will put you in my calendar. I have been very grateful for my wonderful life. I've lived in Long Beach for 75 years. Merci beaucoup. I shop for the perfect bread and butter notes. On the front, a generic Eiffel Tower, blank inside for every specificity. I need to write thank you notes, morning to night, old-fashioned relics of decorum and grace, scribble every hour to the greater fates, and more often to the lesser. Thank you for not putting soldiers and guns in front of my children. Thank you for providing money to always buy milk and always call doctors. I have not had to steal and murder. I would do anything to feed my children, anything. But I have been able to be a bit of gracious, sort of kind, sit on top of Maslow's pyramid, the destinies agreeable. I'll read two more. And this is about all of us in Ollie Osher Senior Lifelong Learning. We're all kind of getting near the end of our lives, and I think we all reflect a great deal. Rationed apocalypse. If we face the end all along, then there's only so much left to deal with on that final day. Chunks of letting go are already there in the afterworld, nuggets for the gold rush. All the embraces, dear moments, they're ahead in different stages of newness or decay. The going over will be easier, less fierce for these earlier, smaller wanings. And for my last poem is a thank you poem to the pop icons of the 60s. I came of age in the 50s and the 60s, and all my kids are all extremely jealous. Mom, I wish we had been there in the 60s. And I see smiles on the faces. I'm so grateful to have been raised then. This is another thank you note. With thanks to the Beatles for their intertextuality and sass. I get by with a little help from myth, chronicle, landmark, from brood stories, the play of textures and layers, the ferment of years in one body, from riffs and recapitulations on the primal and the process. But most of all, and quite extraordinary, given the wraths and compellings of the beast, from the beneficence of the human animal. Okay, thank you so much. And thank you very much. I am terribly honored. We first asked Robyn to read 3 years ago, and unfortunately the event was canceled. I don't think we were quite the Zoomers then that we are now. We've become very much now technological. So may I introduce my dear friend and renowned writer, Robyn McGee.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Cherin, Patricia Cherin, for having me here today. It's just wonderful. I'm so excited and honored to be here. And as you mentioned, I'm getting to, where I have more years behind me than I do ahead of me. So I am writing my memoirs. I'm not quite a poet yet. I've been working my whole life to be able to express myself poetically, but I am a nonfiction writer. So everything comes out, kind of journalistically that I write. And I, use poetry or try to use poetry to make my writing more interesting. So what I'm going to read for you today is a brief excerpt from my memoir. It hasn't been published yet. I'm still working on it. I haven't quite gotten to the painful parts yet. So right now what I'm writing is pretty upbeat and happy and having to do with my mother. The name of my memoirs is Naming is the Hardest Part, because I always have a hard time titling and naming my work. The first bit of it, it's not really set up like a normal book would be. It's more set up like emails and tweets and messaging like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead. It's short. Again, it's dedicated to my mother, Orelda, who passed away in 2017. She was terrific, and she was always very encouraging of me, my writing, and I miss her every day. So here we go. Naming is the hardest part, a memoir by Robyn McGee. The name of this section or this email is called Birth Stories. My mother, Orelda, always had an impeccable sense of timing. It's a morning of June 3rd, 1955. Not far from Chelsea Hospital in Boston, Mass, in a crowded living room in Navy housing, Orelda's second daughter, 6-year-old Claudia, is wide-eyed, watching her mother whip the vanilla frosting for her birthday cake. Claudia's 3 siblings, Pat, William Jr., and Carolyn, filled the small apartment with high-pitched laughter and took turns running their fingers inside the porcelain bowls to catch every drop of the sugary treat. It's my birthday, Claudia repeated over and over through giggles, the cone-sized paper hat fastened with electric string beneath her neck. She kept an eagle eye on the odd-shaped gifts the other kids had wrapped for her, trying to guess if one of those was the new Elvis 45 she so desperately wanted. Suddenly, Orelda looked anguished. The container with the batter slammed to the floor, and she fell to her knees, holding her basketball-shaped belly. Her children immediately surrounded her, and her U.S. Navy seaman husband, William, swooped up to his wife, and within seconds, the two were headed for Chelsea in their green Chevy station wagon. "Watch the kids until I get back," William yelled over his shoulder to the eldest Pat. Pat jumped up and turned off the oven. All the siblings squeezed into the couch, whispering, wondering, worried about Mom. All Claudia could do was listen through the tears to the Platters' Only You playing on the RCA. She hoped her party would resume when her mommy and daddy got back, but it wasn't to be. When the parents returned, it was still June 3rd, but it was dark outside, close to midnight. All the kids were still awake. Mom walked in haltingly, cradling a brand new baby in her tired arms. Smiling weakly, she said, "Claudia, since it's your birthday, you can name your new baby sister." Claudia broke from her disappointment momentarily and pondered the request. "I want to name her Robyn." Like the lady on the guiding light, Claudia reached to rub the infant's cheek. She will be Robyn Marie, Williams Sr. declared, McGee number 5. It wasn't until many years later, long after Claudia had become one of the few Black women to graduate Yale Law School and on to become an award-winning attorney, that I realized why she named me Robyn and how she really felt about me crashing her 6th birthday party. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robyn. So who doesn't love the platters? Only you. Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. All right. Oh my goodness. It is an honor and a joy, and I'm eagerly awaiting hearing our Poet Laureate of Los Angeles, Lynne Thompson, please.
Thank you so much for having me. I want to thank my friend Delina. I hope she hasn't hopped off quite yet, because I really am so grateful that she invited me to join all of you. I'm thankful to Patricia and all of the OLLI members who are attending today. And so I'm going to share some poems. I have 3 collections of poetry. I'm going to share some poems from each, and then if we have time, a newer piece. The first couple of poems that I'm going to be reading are from my first book, which really talks about my parents who were immigrants to America from the West Indies. This first one is entitled Seed of Mango, Seed of Maize. I saw one of the grandmothers only once in a photograph. Short and sturdy she was, a black Carib with a forehead wide as the sea that kisses Port Elizabeth and a nose broad as the nostrum of Admiralty Bay. Breathing deeply, her breath was fume of coconut and allspice, mango and frangipani, blackbird and blue sky, was the Isle of Beckway. She conjured a daughter, then jinxed another, and they bedeviled 5 daughters between them. And I am one of those, flying fish. The other grandmother I composed from myth and half-told stories. She was a red Cheyenne, scorched earth, much chaste, sported a thick reed of braid pulled off from her forehead, wide as Dakota before it was north and south. She hisses warnings across 10, then 10 times 10 more years to a son who reshapes them for me in my dreams, sometimes in my waking. As flute, blue maize, dance of the sun she comes, crow on the wing, singing up the ghosts. And I am one of those, a ghost, singing. So in that poem, I referred to a photograph where I saw my grandmother, and this next one is also based on a photograph, which I really encourage people who write to use old photographs, especially when you don't know what's in them, because that gives room for your imagination. This one is Song for 2 Immigrants. I thought I knew you. To me, you were the Grenadines, the Anglican Church, and a cricket match every Sunday, and every Sunday you were Fort Charlotte, the Vincy Mass and Blue Tide pools. You were Arawaks sailing into Kingstown Harbor. You were English and French patois, rainforests, regatta and a Congo snake, roke, whelk, roti, lobster, and rum. Yet here you are in a yellowing photograph in the Mojave or Death Valley, CA, looking like deserters from an American war. Her, every bit the boy, hair slicked, leather jacket cinched at her throat, her tiny foot on the running board of a black 37 Ford coupe. And you, looking nothing less than the black Clyde Barrow, flicking the butt of your Lucky Strike, checking out your boys at play in the dirt, wearing short pants and high tops, everyone looking for all the world as if the Caribbean was a dream, a far yesterday away. And it was, and it's clear. I did not know you. When I saw that picture, I said to my mother, who are those people? She said, that's me and your father. I said, my God. It's funny seeing your parents before you knew them, right? So I'm going to read a couple from my second book, which is Start with a Small Guitar. And a fellow poet friend of mine said, these are my love, no love poems. So I'll read a couple of these. The first one is Because I Am a Woman. He knows that. Knows it the same way he knows no matter how hard he tries to define himself as spark plug or whiskey neat, I will come back in the late night, as I always do lately, to prove myself more than otherworldly, to prove that whether he tosses, you can't hold me, or cow patties in my path, I will grind all of it into the mute earth that has birthed him. Knowing doesn't make it any better, doesn't stop the veins in his body from madly twisting the way 100 spiders might twist upon themselves in a mirrored, haunted house. He knows about haunted, about the axis in constant rotation, the inconvenience. No matter how hard he tries, the vision of my mouth and aspect remains. My mourning and my survival. My mourning and my survival. The vision of my mouth and aspect remains, no matter how hard I try, despite the inconvenience, the axis in constant rotation. I know about haunted, as in mirrored, haunted houses, twisting upon themselves, madly twisting the way 100 spiders might. The veins in my body knowing doesn't make it any better. Into the mute earth that has birthed me, I grind all of it, put you can't hold me and cow patties in the path wherever he tosses himself, to prove myself more than otherworldly, always and lately in the late night when I come back, to define him as spark plug or whiskey neat, no matter how hard he tries. It's that way. I know that. And this next one was based on, there was a tattoo exhibit at the Craft Contemporary Art Museum in Los Angeles. And these tattoos were just really amazing. And so one of them inspired this poem, Lacium. Whenever he thinks of me, he will think of me walking away, my body turned against another weariness, my hips inked with roses, and he'll be convinced he can smell them, each petal wafting its singular, fragrant particular, its own design. And he will believe that when he saw me last, I was clothed in only blue lace, blue as the harbor at Toulon, pale blue, forget-me blue, blueberry, blue of the high-stepping Prussians, of ice, of hard boys, the politics of scratch, Egyptian blue, ground from silica, copper, and lime, the indigo described by Pliny the Elder, the blue of the cloak of Christ in the Hagia Sophia, in the pottery at Delft, or Van Gogh's Starry Night. And when he recalls the lace, from the vulgar Latin lacium, linen or silk, pearl knitted tablecloth or doily for wounded flesh, he will recall I was adorned with ribbons colored pink, gulabi, cherry blossom, rosa, flamingo, and Amazon dolphin, also our sorrow. I never stopped or turned around. And then just a few from Fretwork. This is my most recent collection, and it also has poems about my parents who apparently haunt me, and I can't stop writing about them. But it also has poems about my adoption. They had 4 sons and decided their life wouldn't be complete without a daughter, and that was me. So these poems are about, really go more to my birth family. Composition number 1. If I say the woman who birthed me betrayed me, you may think that woman badly distilled, needful. But if I say she who betrayed me was herself betrayed, you may think of the woman as gesture, exile, spilled out. Because when we think of exile or the innocent gesture, if there's any such thing as a gesture that's innocent, we should also think intolerable mirror, the mirror never reflecting that it could become obsession or that it might perhaps just peel away. If I say peel or blunder or mercy, you might think my vision too fragile, and you're half right. From somewhere unbidden, the woman waylaid by my birth whistles. Here's a swaying bridge. Cross over, compose the dark. While she was out stealing, I slept in Beverly's womb, but it was dark and I did not go far. She smelled the way the Taj Mahal smells by moonlight. Minutes went by on tiptoe with their fingers to their lips. Then her hands dropped and jerked at something, and the robe she was wearing came open. But it was dark, and I did not go far. She was thinking, and it was clear, even on short acquaintance, thinking was always going to be a bother to her. Minutes went by on tiptoe with their fingers to their lips. From 30 feet away, she looked like a lot of class, enough woman to make a priest discard his vestments. But it was dark, and I did not go far. She smiled a smile I felt in my hip pocket. She made me a pawn to her indifference then, but it was dark, and I did not go far. Minutes went by on tiptoe with their fingers to their lips. And this is the last one I'll read from the book, and then one more. The birth father could have been anyone. A Pole, a felon, an identical twin. He could have been a holy roller, although that seems unlikely. He could have been an ocean, a doorbell, a slice of American cheese. He could have been Goya, the Urdu's transporting suspension of disbelief. I suspect he was a train schedule and every woman's intermittent. It's been my choice not to believe, Father once lived somewhere near Uncle Tom's cabin, or that unbidden Surrey found him, said, your father is sitting beside me. What is logic in a hurricane's eye? If he'd been my crossing guard, I could have adored him, would have hated to know he never looked both ways. He has never been, but if you're of a certain age, he could have been yours. So those are the poems from the 3 collections that I wanted to share. And I'll close with this one that has an epigraph from W.E.B. Du Bois. Would America have been America without her Negro people? Once we were rivers, but is this the last of us? Gone the mean barracoon, gone the deep, wide rivers of us. No more roosters or pickled pig's feet, no Aretha or respect. Is this the last of us? Our African less African and gone, our tap less Bojangles, Hines and gone, gone the deep, wide rivers of us and gone to our faith and fidelity to the Betsy Ross stitch. And Martin, was he the last of us? And Malcolm, Harriet, Barbara Jordan, all gone. Who remains to pray for the deep, wide rivers of us? Gone our song and its shadow, gone the tongue of the gullah, gone the deep, wide rivers of us. Is this the last of us? You can't really believe that. You've been seeing the last of us for a long time come. Come first the Black women and their people, Amina of Zaria, Anna D'Souza Nzinga, Nandi. Then come the transatlantic traders sailing from Luanda, Malembo, Sierra Leone, landing Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Kitts, landing the Carolinas, Virginia, New York. Then come the Black men, running. Too many slave named like my great-great-great-grandfather George. Fred Douglass, this is not too old a story. C. Emmett Till, Harry Moore, 4 dead girls in an Alabama church. Some say only a few bad rogues, but today's cops, just like yesterday's patty rollers, shot Stephon Clark, shot Danny Ray Thomas, shot Antoine Rose II, shot Deontay Yarber, all of them unarmed, and all of this in the year of whose Lord, 2018. So we fight. We fight for the last of us, even fight each other, Ali Boumaier. But then we hear the kora, the talking drum, the balafon and marimba. And Josephine Baker heard them, and Jacob Lawrence heard them, and Toni Morrison heard them, and Jesse Owens, running, heard the drums that turned the Arthur Ashe racket into a drum, the diplomacy of Ralph Bunche into a drum, the demand of Ida B. Wells into a drum, like Basquiat's obnoxious liberals was a drum, like Harriet Powers quilting was a drum, like a LeBron James dunk is a drum, and didn't Father Curry preach in the Church of England like a drum those lords and ladies had never heard before. So they know. As you know, there will never be a last of us. We come like rivers. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Marvelous.
Thank you.
Marvelous.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have 14 OLLI readers, and I'm going to call them in the order that I have them registered from the OLLI office. And would you kindly read one poem? And I think you may need to unmute yourselves. Howard Darby, are you here? No?
Yes,
Howard,
I'm here.
Howard is
Oh,
here.
okay.
Howard, can you turn your camera on for us, please? There we go. Okay, you're all set. Good afternoon, Howard. Go ahead.
Sorry, I fell asleep for part of it, so I can't really contribute. I got too comfortable.
Okay. We'll plan on you next year.
Okay.
Okay, so, Sharon Turner. Sharon, are you here?
I am here,
Okay.
but as you can hear,
Oh,
I have laryngitis, so I am really unable to speak. So I can't contribute anything today.
Okay, Sharon, we're gonna hope that you get better in the next 12 months, and we'll look forward to you next year. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, Janice Champion.
I do not see her here.
I don't. Okay.
Okay.
Mary Mavian. Mary, are you here?
Refilled your estradiol patch. The medication.
Hi, Mary.
I think she's on a phone call.
Okay.
Okay.
Norma Bates, my friend.
I have nothing to contribute.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good rest of our session. Norma Bates. Norma, are you here?
I don't see her.
I don't see Norma.
Mhm.
Jennifer Nuesi.
Don't see her.
Jennifer?
Nope.
No, okay. Sherry Small. Okay. Sherry, I know you perhaps wanted me to read your poem for you. Is that correct? Okay. Am I unmuted?
Yes, you're good to go.
Okay. This is a poem by Sherry Small. I am a dandelion in the wind, drawn to bear and stand in my own truth. My untethered soul, emboldened to flow free, powered by the velocity spun through each catgut of my being and the unexpectedness that travails. Do I evolve or repeat? Do I flourish in motion or stay motionless in the same old? I choose to evolve and not live in the comfortable ease of sameness, renewing, rebuilding, and healing with each spin of the wind, venturing into uncharted leanings, learnings. My soul unbounded, gifted to seek and spread sage wisdom in my aboutness. I am a dandelion in the wind, seeking to preserve my okayness in a world filled with chaos. I am a dandelion in the wind, simply just being me, unapologetically me. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you for reading it.
My pleasure and privilege. Valencia Proctor.
I do not see her.
Okay. Susan Washington.
Susan is here. Go for it, Susan. You're
Susan,
unmuted.
please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This poem is called Myself. I have to live with myself, and so I want to be fit for myself to know. I want to be able, as the days go by, always to look myself straight in the eye. I don't want to stand with the setting sun and hate myself for the things I've done. I don't want to keep on a closet shelf a lot of secrets about myself and fool myself as I come and go into thinking nobody else will know. The kind of lady I really am, I don't want to dress myself up in sham. I want to go out with my head erect. I want to deserve all applicable respect. But here in the struggle for fame and filth, I want to be able to like myself. I don't want to look at myself and know that I'm bluster and bluff and an empty show. I never can hide myself from me. I see what others may never see. I know what others may never know. I never can fool myself, and so whatever happens, I want to be self-respecting and conscious-free.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, I'd like to invite you, because we've had so many readers who weren't reading today. Would you like to read another poem?
No, I just had prepared that.
Okay, okay, I get you. I get
Okay.
you. I'm with you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Absolutely lovely. Okay, Godfrey Schneider, are you here? Godfrey? Eugenia Schneider.
Elaine, are you here? Oh, she's just attending, not presenting.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Thanks, Elaine.
Kim Pavago?
She was here earlier.
Oh, here she is.
Let's see.
Okay.
I didn't sign up to read, but thank
Okay,
you for inviting me.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry because I assumed that all the registrants were the readers. So that's that's on me. But that gives Linda Kahn, our next reader. Are you here, Linda?
Let's see, I don't see her on.
Okay.
Okay.
Gary Toomer.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Well, we allowed quite a bit of time for those poetry readers. So I'm going to invite, if I'm going to read a couple more poems, if that's all right. And Robyn, if you perhaps have another email piece to read from your book, that would be lovely. And Lynn, are you able to stay a bit and read a little more?
I'd be happy to.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay.
Hello.
Oh, Rosetta's here. Yes.
Yeah, I submitted one.
Okay, please, would you kindly read? We'd love.
Oh, you didn't have my name?
I don't. So there may be others then also. Go ahead, Rosetta.
Oh, okay. This is called On a Clear Day. On a clear day, succulent grapes fall easily from knotted vines. Tree branches stretch decorously across painted skies, and the wind whispers the inevitable news as the steady turtle outlasts the trek of the rabbit. Yesterday memories are not known or needed. Hidden meanings are subtly revealed, and what was becomes something else. What may be has already been. Optimism is not just an 8-letter word. Patience replaces anxiety and hostility. Hope overcomes loss and despair, and the truth always suffocates lies. Authentic messages are recorded in time as spaces known and unknown are filled. Knowledge is expanded and shifted, and the conclusion is never finished. On a clear day, you may not see forever, but what you see is what you see. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more if you have time.
Absolutely.
Okay. The soul wandering like soft slippers, paddling in the night, going right, going left, aiming endlessly down fainted lighted corridors, peeling with the use of everyday gestures, shuffling along cracks, bellowing new dawning days, trekking across pastures filled with fragrances of fresh dew, mountains unequal in reaching toward the sky, and oceans bottomless with the beginnings of life. A relentless pursuit of the familiar, a faint smell, a look in the eye, a brief magical touch, a few whispered words already recorded and replayed again and again, until it stops in its tracks, spellbound by the knowledge of why it has traveled and reached a particular destination. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosetta. Thank you so much. Are there other OLLI members who would like to read a poem who perhaps are not on my list?
Yes.
William Clark, please. Hello, I recognize you from past years. Go ahead.
Go ahead, you're all set.
Thank you. And thank you for allowing me to share an experience that I had with happiness through this poem that I wrote entitled Dancing with Birds. A mockingbird song awakened me. with sunrise music from the chestnut tree. He awakened me with such a happy song that it lifted my spirit all day long. This glorious melody has my attention. The sparrow and blue jay, I must also mention. The message was clear, not using words. A message of happiness delivered by birds. They've stirred the silence of morning dew and pierced my belly as joy came through. My feet were poised and ready to dance, ready to tap when given the chance. Electric static is in my hair. Unspeakable happiness is everywhere. Can you imagine the excitement I feel? No thief in sight, my joy to steal. My hands and hips and feet together, floating freely like birds of a feather. Wiggle and wobble, whatever feels good. Doing my own thing, just as I should. Life is simple in a complicated way. To waste it has a terrific price to pay. Life is simple if you allow it to be. Jeopardize or complement your own destiny. For years I searched for happiness. I found it locked in me. I pried and pulled to open it. And now I finally found the key. Like clouds above that hold the rain, my heavy heart has held the pain. For years I took a coward's way, refusing to deal with day to day. Demanding happiness I need the most. Live it daily or give up my ghost. Heal your ills with your own will. Remember it's deep inside of you. Life is worth it, and so are you. Happiness is truly the thing to do. Happiness gone? It's really not gone. Honestly, happiness lives on and on. Take it, make it what you need it to be. Embrace your new reality. We're left to face our bitter end, a battle for certain we cannot win. A treasure of happiness lies in wait. Search till you find it, and don't wait too late. Focus keenly on all these words delivered this morning by singing birds. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I have another if you like.
Absolutely, go ahead.
This poem is to my sweetheart and wife of 42 years. It's what I felt the first week that I met her, and I call it Alone at Last. Atop the tallest peak I find that you are there. You heal my pain and woe inside. You're the answer to my prayer. You're that woman in my soul, and it's you I'm thinking of. Just how special will we be? Will you touch me with your love? Then touch me deep. I will not move. I'll receive, conceive, and believe in love. That's all that I will do. For upon this tallest peak I find, I'm alone at last with you. Thank you so much.
What a wonderful tribute. What a wonderful tribute. Absolutely lovely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Denise Jefferson's daughter is ready to present.
I was going to read it for her, but since she walked in the door, I'm going to let her read it herself.
Terrific.
Her name is
Hello.
Amethyst.
Hi.
Hello.
Glad to have you here.
This poem I wrote when I was in high school, so like 10 years ago now, and it's called The Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. It starts in the homes, parents raising children, not children raising children. Going back to our roots, teaching our little ones that on the backs of our ancestors, we stand. Through their blood, sweat, and tears, I stand here today with the world at my fingertips. I stand. With the world revolved around me, with the motivation to obtain the education, the miseducation of a Negro, oh no, that will not be me. On the backs of my ancestors, I stand. That's the way my parents taught me. Stop the violence, drop the guns and the drugs. Stop with all that baby daddy nonsense. Stop the war, not the war in Iraq, although that needs to go. The war in the homes, in the streets, in the communities. Claiming a piece of asphalt that doesn't even belong to you. Claiming a street, a block, a park is straight stupidity. Saying my gang is my family, but the last time I checked, you didn't need to kill a piece of someone else's family to be loved by your own. Screaming, ah, my child, my baby. Hearing a mother screams in the middle of the night, tears flowing down her face like the Nile River from my mother Africa, because you took her son, her daughter, in the name of a color? A color? It's a never-ending story in these gangs. His homie died, so your homie had to go. Shots fired, screams heard. Life is normal, the focus, the kill is the game. 6 feet under, soon to be forgotten is where this game will soon end. The revolution will not be televised. Daughters without their fathers is a disaster in the making. You soon will see. Daughters never having their father say, I love you. Driving them to seek it from somewhere else. From a man, a grown man who only wants her innocence. Screaming, giving birth to a child she did not want to have. And 15 years from now, she can't even have a steady relationship. Hopping from man to man, lying down with someone else's man or husband, or even worse, someone she didn't even know. Now she's classified as a hoe, a home wrecking hoe, all because her dad never said, I love you. You're beautiful, smart, and deserve respect. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is the home, is the family, is the community standing strong, because believe it or not, it takes a village to raise a child. Our ancestors knew that. Where did we go wrong? Thinking it could all be done on our own is where we went wrong. People take independence as strength and dependence as weakness. But even smart people know you cannot hold the whole world on your shoulders on your own. At least not for too long. The revolution will not be televised. You are the one you have been waiting for. You are the change and the strength. You are the revolution. Thank you.
That's incredible.
You must be so proud of that daughter.
I am.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Who else would like to read, please? Who was not on my list? Okay.
I think you're good.
All right, all right. Would anybody who did read, an OLLI member who only read one poem, would you like to read an additional poem? Nope. Okay, I will read one more.
Real quick, Dr. Cherin,
Yes.
we have Deborah Strahan.
Oh, please.
Deborah, please go ahead.
Okay. I was going to read a poem. I don't know. It's one I wrote a long time ago, but the other poem was so good. Let's see. This is called Real Aspirations from A to Z. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I have dreams to seek and my own destiny to fulfill, though the road to my goals may be all uphill. All the struggling our people did to make this world the best, well, it's time for this generation to put those gains to the test. But what good is all that history if you don't encourage what they choose to be? Don't wait till they're grown and out of school, because without any goals, you're just an educated fool. At age 4 or 5, encourage the scribbling that they do. Maybe one day an architect or artist will shine through. At 15 or 16, when teenagers are most trying, they still need the positive guidance that you've been supplying. We all need faith in ourselves when doubts ensue. Our forefathers had doubts, but they had courage too. They have opened up our world, and so many choices are there. Real aspirations from A to Z can be ours if we dare.
Thank you so much, Deborah. May I invite other readers, please? Who would like to read? Join our wonderful pantheon of poets this afternoon.
Feel free to unmute yourself when you're ready.
Okay.
Go ahead, William. Oh, no. Okay.
Do we have another reader?
Yes, I can read another if you have me.
Sure, we'll have you, and we're grateful to.
The title of this poem is Crying Without Tears. Our eyes are wet with water, and our heart is filled with pain. It hurts too much to say in words, this overwhelming drain. The feeling's just like happiness. Inside, it would go amiss. Past our eyes and to our soul, beyond the threat of fears, we feel a greater calming presence. We're crying without tears. It's hot and cold within our soul, that part of us that makes us whole. A baby's voice, the day of birth, piercing its mother's ears. Her heart is beating that pounding sound. She's crying without tears. Pain and woes that come and go, spilling emotions to and fro. They wet our spirits throughout our years. We're crying without tears. The time will come that we can't sleep. The tears will leave and we can't weep. We then progress past chills and thrills, surpassing sneers and cheers. There's no expression more passionate as crying without tears. Profound reality is in our heart. I love you more than at the start. The well within you rises up, a bubbling geyser as it nears. Watery eyes won't wet the surface like crying without tears. Watery eyes don't wet the surface like crying without tears. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Beautiful reading. Beautiful reading. Robyn and Lynn, may I call on you each in turn, please? Thank you so much for you volunteered to do a little gig, and here you are doing an afternoon. I'm very grateful to everybody. Robyn, go ahead.
Hi, everybody again. So writing memoirs, what I'm discovering, my autobiography, what I'm discovering is that it's an internal journey, how my feelings, my thoughts, my disappointments, my loves, as well as an external journey. So here's another excerpt. It started out as a post, and I've kind of developed it a little bit to kind of show, where I'm at this point in my life. I wrote this a few months ago. It's called The Dark Side of Dr. P. Strangers talk to me at the market, on the train, in Starbucks. For some reason, folks approach me with their troubles, their secrets, their shame, their private pain. When Miss T was little, she would say, "Ma, why do you tell me not to talk to strangers? But you are always talking to strangers." I said, "I don't know. I guess it's because what I do best is listen." And so it was with Dr. P, my longtime dentist. He's not a stranger, of course, but I don't really know him. My last visit to his office on a glorious California morning, he glanced at the x-ray of my tooth, number 31. I spend lots of times at the dentist. I know all the numbers. He guided me to the reclining chair. "What do you do?" He must have asked me this 40 times, and I tell him the same thing. "I'm a teacher." "Well, you know more than most people who come here," said Dr. P. Oh no, I thought, he's buttering me up. My x-ray must be bad news. He sat his linebacker body on a small rolling stool directly across from me in his usual white jacket and light blue mask. "Can I tell you my Greek immigrant family story?" I wanted to say no. "I want you to tell me what's wrong with my tooth. I want to get out of here." "Well, what can you do with a man with the drill and the shots?" "Sure, Dr. P. I like to hear about your immigrant family." In a low voice, he recalled how his family were victims of extreme racism when his grandfather left Greece and immigrated to Ontario, Canada in the 1950s. Coming from the Mediterranean, he said, we were considered too dark to be accepted as white. He paused and pointed to his olive-toned arm. It's still very racist where I grew up, he said. Actually, I hate white people. I was stunned. Not exactly what I expected to hear coming out of the mouth of an oral surgeon. Dr. P is a man of stature and class, with a car whose name I cannot pronounce. Yet here he was, with a hurt that never goes away. But nothing I went through compares to what happens to Black Americans, he said. It's all about the color of your skin. That's what's wrong with America and Canada, he went on. Hatred because of the color of your skin. The assistants, the dental assistants, walked by a room several times, motioning to Dr. P to see other patients. But he continued to talk to me for at least 20 minutes. Finally, he looked at tooth number 31 and said, you're gonna need some treatment. I'll see you soon, and walked out the door. Is he for real? I thought, or was this his sales pitch? Some dentists these days are real hustlers, more like used car salesmen. But I sensed a genuine sadness about Dr. P, that which comes from being misjudged and misunderstood early on. It stays with you for the rest of your life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Robyn. Lynn, please.
Sure, that was great, Robyn. I love the piece about what can you do about a man with a drill in his hand? Pretty good, pretty good.
Thank you.
Time for two.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to read the last poem in my latest collection. It's entitled, Who Giveth This Girl? She took the name Toy Cow. She was aware of her milk. Renaming is greater than privilege. At play equals desire, even when day after year she took the name she was given, shredded it, ate most, sent the rest to church where the nurses are a little ballsy. What's in a name is a confoundment, is alkaline, is sky torn down like wallpaper. Who giveth this name in wedded agony? Sticks and claims do not honor thy father, so Toy Cow is the name she took. The boys called her, the girls called her. When she began to call herself. And this one, I have a lot of music that filters its way, or references to music that filters its way into my poems, and this one is no different. It has an epigraph from a Leonard Cohen song, Dance Me Very Tenderly and Dance Me Very Long. And the poem's title is Song for Africa, Leonard Cohen Never Knew He Started. Long as the river Mononara, long as the miles between the Malagasy and the bondsmen of Kentucky, long as memory, long as the concussions of kidnap, long as every equation plotting the distance between earth and its backlash, between sun and the bursting of hyacinth, daffodil, mustard seed, seed most fruitless, carried across the sea, perhaps from Benin, once misprized as French Dahomey, and before that, when the land was confused with the dynasty of the Edo. Its people most majestic, most black and black and black, and the people are movement. See how they excite here and here. Secrets in our gardens, stunning among the periwinkle, creeping myrtle, Confederate jasmine, Floridora in spring, and in summer when they are most Stephanatus floribunda, curling around and over and under. And did you ever see such movement, long as the river Mononara, long as the miles between us and the Malagasy? Oh, boogaraboo, dance me oh so tenderly, and dance me very long. Thank you.
Thank you. I am a big Leonard Cohen fan, and that is such a wonderful song, Dance Me to the End of Time. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because you mentioned the French Dahomey, I have poetry all around me, and I'm going to pull Lucille Clifton, because probably 40 years ago, Lucille Clifton came to Dominguez Hills, and I have never forgotten her line, I have the blood of Dahomey women in my blood. That's a paraphrase, but so here's my Lucille Clifton, and yours and all of ours, because that's the wonderful thing about poems, is they belong to all of us. So here's one of her most famous, poem to my uterus. You, uterus, you have been patient as a sock, while I have slippered into you my dead and living children. Now they want to cut you out. Stocking, I will not need where I am going. Where am I going, old girl, without you, uterus? My bloody print, my estrogen kitchen, my black bag of desire. Where can I go, barefoot, without you? Where can you go without me? I'm just turning to any place. I haven't looked at these in any particular order, but I have Post-its on some, so those must be my favorites. Here yet be dragons. So many languages have fallen off of the edge of the world into the dragon's mouth. Some where there be monsters whose teeth are sharp and sparkle with lost people. Lost poems. Who among us can imagine ourselves unimagined? Who among us can speak with so fragile tongue and remain proud? And here is her title poem from her collection, Blessing the Boats. At St. Mary's. May the tide that is entering even now, the lip of our understanding, carry you out beyond the face of fear. May you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love you back. May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever, and may you in your innocence sail through this to that. Okay, I'm going to just choose another one randomly, and we'll let that be it. Amazons, and here's the reference to Dahomey again, Lynn. When the rookery of women warriors, all each cupping one hand around her remaining breast, daughters of Dahomey, their name fierce on the planet, when they come to ask who knows what you might have to sacrifice. Poet, Amazon, there is no choice. Then when they each, with one nipple lifted, beckoned to me 5 generations removed, I rose and ran to the telephone to hear cancer, early detection, no mastectomy, not yet. There was nothing to say. My sisters swooped in a circle dance. Audrey was with them, and I had already written this poem. All right, thank you so much. Perhaps we have time for a couple of comments from our participants today, our poets and our audience.
And feel free, the mics are open, so feel free to speak.
This is William Clark. I am absolutely thrilled at what my ears have heard, I feel like I'm in the presence of nothing but pure greatness, and it's an honor. I'm driven.
The honor is ours, and the honor is poetry's, and the honor is mine personally as well. Deborah? Anybody? Sherry?
This is Rosetta.
Rosetta.
I have enjoyed immensely all of the poems and readings. So many talented individuals today. Thank you, everyone, very much for sharing.
I feel exactly the same way. I feel the same way.
I just want to say thank you so much for having me today. I've heard so much rich genius today, and just to be able to write a poem, you are so blessed and gifted. And, you know, I like to take the trappings of poetry and add it to what I write. So thank you so much for sharing today.
And I'd like to add what an honor it was to read with you, Robyn. I'm so excited for your memoir. I can't wait for it to come out. And it's just so wonderful that all of you are either listening to and or writing poetry. That's what I think we need on the planet. And so it's really exciting to be here with all of you. And it's been an absolute honor to share a little square with all of you today. So thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you. Lynn, would you talk a little bit about the experience of being the Poet Laureate of LA?
Sure. First of all, it's a shock when you get the email. No preamble, you know, did you have COVID? Are you still interested? You want it, you know, nothing like that. You get an email from the mayor's office saying that you've been appointed. I did apply, but nothing happened for many, many months because of COVID. And a bunch of us, you know, just kind of thought, okay, they're not going to do it again. But it's been lovely because I've been able to work with libraries and with schools. It's especially exciting to see young voices and to hear what they care about, you know, what worries them, how can they express it? And so that's been a real treat. I've been giving a lot of workshops. I've been doing a lot of readings. I'm really sick of myself, my own voice, actually. But fortunately, others are not. So that's really good. I've had the opportunity to judge a couple of book contests as well as submissions to journals, which is very humbling because it makes me wonder how I ever had a word published. When I hear other people's poems, I feel very lucky to be in this position. So it is a real treat and a real honor. When you said earlier about the size of the city, I was at a literary conference a few weeks ago, and there were several poets laureate there. And one said, oh, you know, my town is 43,000 people. And another said, oh, well, my town is much larger. It's 96,000 people. And somebody said, but Lynn, Los Angeles. I said, 13 million people. And I hadn't really thought about the number until I heard, and I thought, oh my God, what have I done? You know, this is outrageous. But the other thing I want to tell you, not my voice, but I do a weekly podcast for the LA Public Library, reading the poems of other poets that I think people would be interested in. It's called Poems on Air. So if you go to the website for the LA Public Library every Thursday, or to Apple Podcast or Spotify, every Thursday, I put out a new poem. And so that's been a really good way to reach people. You can listen whenever you want. They're very short. None of them are more than about 3 or 4 minutes. So you can have your little poetry fix every week.
That's wonderful. That is so exciting. Well, each one of those 13 million Los Angelinos is lucky to have you
oh my goodness
representing us. And
thank you.
Thank you to all of the OLLI members. Thank you to my special friend, Robyn McGee, who is just a wonderful, wonderful professor and runner of the Women's Center and fellow bringer of poets to our campus. And Anissa Barton, thank you so much. you really have helped facilitate this new world of technology. And I thought it went real well, the technology part. I thought it's always so interesting to try for poems to leap at us or to cling to us or to get to us. And I think that you made sure that happened through Zoom. So, all right, well, I'm going to wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. And let's look forward to Poetry Month next year. Happy writing.
Happy National Poetry Month.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate you. See you at our next event.
Okay.